Chase Bank. We love them for many different reasons. One, they have great use of points that we can use and transfer to, but they're also a large bank and they have multiple lending options and they typically give out larger limits. But Chase, just like all other banks, have different internal rules that go into them deciding on what they give you and the limits they give you. Now, what I want to talk about is a scenario that I went through that I wish I would have known from the start in working with Chase. And I think it'd be really helpful for many of you who are looking to build a relationship with Chase or get access to higher limit credit cards, the business 0% cards that a lot of people like to go for with them. And some of these key components are going to be really huge for you to set up and put together before you apply to these cards. So let's talk about those key quality items that I think are the most important. So for one, you're going to want to have a relationship with Chase. I feel like that is pretty standard. You're going to want to have, one or a couple personal cards with Chase as well, like the Sapphire Preferred or the Reserve card. That is really important. But before you do anything on the business side, I would say make sure that you open up a bank account with Chase. Make sure you open up a business checking account. It does not hurt at all. The more you can do with these banks, the better in building the relationship. So if you have a personal checking and a business checking, a card or two with them, fantastic. But you're going to want to have that with them. I would say it is a priority bank to open up a business checking account with from the start in your entrepreneurship or business journey and building that relationship. So make sure you have a relationship with Chase on the personal side. And before applying to any business cards, make sure you have a business checking account as well. Now, with that business checking account, when you're deciding to apply to a card or eventually apply to a card, this is something you're going to want to have moving data through 60 to 90 days or even more beforehand. The more that you can technically data mine or build a relationship with them, the better. In that way, I mean activity. So why is activity important? Because it's showing that you're utilizing the lending options, you're utilizing the tools that they're providing you. And right, that's business to them. They want to see that you're using their business for them to give you more business. So set up direct deposits with that account if you can. Do business, send out business, make payments from other credit cards with your checking account, right? That activity is important. The other thing, which I did not know for a while, but if you already have a Chase business card with Chase, is make sure before you apply, same scenario, 60, 90 days or even more, that you're using that card. You are showing that you are using the limits they're giving you. You're paying it off, you're building responsibly, but you're using that card. So one of the things that I ran into was I was utilizing other business cards at the time, and I was not utilizing my Ink Unlimited, which I'd had for a while. And that was kind of a detriment to the limit that I received. I still received a really good limit, but it could have been much higher if I had been showing activity with that card. So if you do have a Chase card already or a Chase business card already before applying to another business card, make sure that you are using that card actively. It definitely helps for them to see that, right? Because they have access to your accounts. They can see that type of activity. That's also important because the more that you can put these things together beforehand, the better limits you'll receive, because Chase actually allows you to transfer one limit from one of the business cards over to the other business card. So let's say your 0% ran out on, in my scenario, the unlimited card, and you ended up getting a 5K limit because you didn't do some of these things beforehand. Now, if you did do some of these things beforehand, you could actually get a 25K limit, and let's say that 0% ran out, and eventually you want to apply to the Ink Cash card. What you can do when you apply to that Ink Cash card is you can actually transfer the limit over from that Chase card that is off the 0% onto the new 0% card. So let's say you got a 40K limit and now you have 25K on the other card. You can transfer that over and now you have 65K on that card for 0% for 12 months instead of just 40K, right? So that's another great thing about Chase that they allow you to do, which is really awesome to have, especially when you're trying to scale your business or put money in places for investments in your business and grow your business. The more capital you have, the more availability and leverage that you have to make more money. Now, outside of the relationship, this is going to be massively important just for business credit and limits in general, which is going to be your personal credit and your personal credit limits. So If you have, think of it this way, if you have 10K on your personal credit limits and you're seeing everyone getting, these high limit approvals, 30, 40, 50K plus approvals, what makes you think just because you're seeing other people get it that you only have 10K on the personal side and they're somehow going to give you 30K? They aren't. So it's really important. We talk about this in my community, how important it is to set up your personal credit profile to then leverage and utilize business credit, is make sure you have higher limits on your personal credit side, because that's comparable. They can look at that when they pull your credit and they can see that you can handle credit responsibly with higher limits for a period of time, and they're willing to give you more money because you've shown that. So if you have lower limits, they likely will not give you higher limits, even though that's what you want. So if you also have a Chase personal credit card, what you can do with Chase as well is you can actually ask them to increase your limit on your Chase personal card with a soft pull, not a hard pull. So they'll do it with a soft pull, no effect to your credit report. So if you might have 8K on the preferred card, you could ask for a credit limit increase with a soft pull, and they could increase that to 18K. So now you have increased your limit with Chase. You've shown that under their institution that you have a higher limit, which is going to help you specifically when you apply to Chase business cards in the future, right? So that is really important, is make sure your personal credit, make sure your Chase credit limits are up higher as well, because it'll help you with higher approvals later on. And the last thing I want to stress, which is really how a lot of these individuals are getting good limits and getting good approvals and getting through Chase 524 if they are over it, is working through a business relationship manager. So when I apply to Chase business cards, I work through a relationship manager because they have extra pull in terms of getting you approved. Let's say you've gone over Chase 524, they can actually, expedite that or push through that 524 approval, and they can actually request a certain limit for you, right? And then you can get a higher limit because of that. But if you don't have some of the things I've mentioned before, which is, setting up activities, setting up your limits, having money flowing in and out of the account, then you're likely not going to get the exact limit that you want. But the Chase relationship manager can help you do that and can help, provide you guidance on what you need to do to get the limits that you want on that approval. When it comes to working with a relationship manager, I recommend that you find one locally. It's better to actually, make that relationship physically instead of all online, right? When you do applications online, you're pretty much dealing with an algorithm. You're pretty much dealing with a bot that is deciding on their internal rules what your approval can be and what limits you'll get. But when you work with a relationship manager, and you're not dealing with an algorithm, you're dealing with people where they're sending it and working with the underwriting team specifically to help you out. So like I said, those are the main things that I would think about in terms of getting approvals and getting higher limits with Chase business credit cards, mainly because, right, activity, relationship, and personal credit limits are going to help you out exponentially. All these banks have different internal rules that they look for. It changes from bank to bank, but those are the ones that I would, put my sights on to understand and make sure that I have operating 60 to 90 days before applying. I've, reached out or connected with a relationship manager so that I can work with them when I'm ready to apply to a card and get the limits that I want, and then I can set myself up properly. Yes, there can be, or yes, there is, other internal rules to take into account, but I want it to be, a few simple steps that can guide you in the right direction that you can be aware of to put in place before you get started. So hopefully that was helpful. As always, we are connecting, collaborating, networking, learning about personal credit, business credit, travel hacking. If that's something that you are interested in and you want to be connected with like-minded individuals like myself and many others in my school community, you can feel free to join that. That is free. I'm giving the game away, trying to provide as much value to you guys there. And it's really awesome to continue to connect and really get to know you guys at a deeper level outside of just this screen, the comments, and the likes. So feel free to hit that up. I'll see you in there, and I'll see you on the next video.